In this world, there are disaster beasts and different classes of awakeners who grow stronger with each level. But our boy exists on a completely different level. He doesn't operate by the same rules or even within the same dimension as other awakeners. The story begins with the sudden appearance of massive, sinister pillars that emerge without warning. Barriers rise across the land, and a purple beam of light shoots into the sky, announcing the invasion of the human world by disaster beasts. Countless monstrous creatures pour out and begin a ruthless slaughter of humanity. In the middle of the chaos, a father shouts at his son to run and survive. The streets fall into complete disorder as people scatter in terror. A monster covered in blue flames locks onto the boy and launches a deadly fire attack. His mother throws herself in front of him, taking the blow. With her final breath, she urges him to keep running, sacrificing her life to save him. Later, the protagonist, Itsuki, jolts awake from this nightmare after hearing his name. A pink-haired girl asks if something is wrong, but he brushes it off, saying it was nothing. She remains unconvinced and notices a tear on his face, questioning why he is crying. Before he can respond, a friend interrupts, and our boy points out a teacher wearing a strange outfit. The teacher, addressed as a master, begins speaking about the awakened and the Great War that ended a decade ago. One classmate is shocked that Itsuki does not recognize Commander Izumi. He explains that the commander was the very first awakened, the strongest one ever recorded, and the mentor who trained humanity's greatest heroes. The teacher continues, explaining that ordinary people can awaken by touching a monolith. Everyone present is informed that they will soon join the war as awakened. At that moment, a massive monument rises from beneath the arena floor, filling the students with excitement and anticipation at the potential of becoming an awakened. Itsuki's friend nudges him, and Itsuki notes that the long-awaited moment has finally come. His classmate grabs him and drags him toward the line forming in front of the monument. The pink-haired girl watches closely and notices Itsuki's heavy expression. His eyes glow red as he silently acknowledges how long he has been waiting for this day. Students begin touching the monument one after another. The first candidate, an elite athlete, fails to trigger any reaction. Disappointment spreads as several more students also fail to awaken. Anxiety grows until a guard calls the name Hikaru Ashi. The atmosphere turns tense, as Hikaru is known as a bully, and his awakening would spell trouble for many. When Hikaru places his hand on the monument, blue lightning erupts around his body. A screen appears, revealing his class as an elementalist with 12 points, far above the normal average of 5. Hikaru proudly boasts to the commander, basking in attention, until someone suddenly grabs his shoulder. Itsuki pulls him away from the monolith. Enraged, Hikaru explodes in fury and threatens him loudly. The crowd assumes Itsuki has doomed himself by offending the newly awakened elite. A blue-haired woman observes him and senses an overwhelming storm of emotions within him. Itsuki steps forward and places his hand on the monument, focusing entirely on his hatred for the disaster beasts. The commander notices the boy's unusual resolve just as a massive blue entity manifests behind him. An enormous surge of energy erupts from the monolith, engulfing Itsuki and spreading throughout the entire arena. The wave of power stretches hundreds of feet, stunning everyone present. His friends cheer wildly. The assistant identifies this rare awakening as the Order Breaker class. Hikaru watches in disbelief and anger as Itsuki is pulled into a mental space. There he sits inside a glowing blue lotus. A screen displays a Z-rank skill called Overmimesis, but all attributes red 0. Moments later, a gift called Nirvana activates, causing every stat to skyrocket to 800. Itsuki smiles, filled with absolute confidence that he can wipe out the disaster beasts. Back in the real world, the light is blinding. When it finally fades, Itsuki stands calmly beside the monument. Hikaru is left speechless. The blue-haired woman is shocked by the absurd power displayed by a rookie. The commander declares Itsuki the strongest awakened in history, explaining that his stabilized attributes have settled at 200. Cheers erupt across the arena, but Hikaru cannot accept being overshadowed, enveloped in crackling lightning. He calls Itsuki a loser and unleashes a skill known as Silver Serpent. Itsuki's system immediately detects the attack, and Overmiss activates to analyze it. Lightning crashes into the ground, yet Itsuki disappears in an instant, leaving everyone in shock. In the next instant, he appears behind Hikaru and grips his head. He quietly states that Hikaru should be grateful for being human. Translation: if he were one of those beasts, our boy would have killed him without the slightest hesitation. Hikaru collapses to the ground, completely powerless. Itsuki notes the fast analysis speed of the C-rank skill. Once the analysis reaches 100%, he successfully acquires a new skill called Thunder Wave, which is a practical improvement and evolved version of Silver Serpent. His friend expresses shock loudly as he realizes that our boy enters the Blue Lotus mental space at the end of every completed analysis. His stats rise by another 10 points. Returning fully to reality, Itsuki looks down at the shaking bully. Hikaru trembles in terror after realizing his own skill was copied and improved. Even more shocking, the boy's stats drastically surpass those of his class. Suddenly, the sky darkens and heavy rain begins to fall. A massive dark monolith descends from the sky and crashes toward the school grounds. The commander immediately cancels the ceremony and orders everyone to evacuate, believing the target is himself. The assistant urges him to flee, but the commander stays behind to avoid causing panic. He praises Itsuki for not retreating. As everyone runs, Itsuki stands alone, facing the descending pillar. The blue-haired woman watches in confusion, and his friends scream for him to escape as a disaster beast will emerge. But Itsuki declares that he will exterminate it. Despite warnings that he is still a rookie, he asks the girl to trust him, causing her to blush. His friends reluctantly retreat. Itsuki grins coldly at his first enemy, a skeleton soldier with 295 points. It is the same kind of creature that slaughtered his parents. Activating his first skill, lightning surges from his body. He charges forward, and the two collide. He declares that no one else will die in his presence. A lightning-empowered punch smashes through the skeleton's chest and sends it flying. The entire group is so surprised that it feels as if time has frozen in an instant. No one can believe that a student who has just awakened could send such a powerful beast flying with a single punch. This creature is problematic because of its high defense and, secondly, its bone fire that burns people into ashes. Blue flames engulf Itsuki, his friends are scared, and Hikaru laughs, convinced that he is finished. Inside the fire, Overmiss begins analyzing the skill. The blue-haired woman fears that the genius has fallen too soon. Within the flames, Itsuki relives the moment his mother sacrificed herself. The analysis reaches 100%, and the Blue Lotus appears once more. Itsuki steps out of the fire unharmed, having learned Black Ice Wall. His wounds are healed, and his stats increase again. In the mental space, his power feels completely restored. His friends erupt in relief and joy, while the assistant questions just how far the limits of this strange class extend. The skeleton soldier roars in disbelief. Itsuki activates his new ability, covering his body in black ice armor that nullifies the blue flames entirely. He merges the ice with the copied lightning, shaping it into a roaring dragon. A massive sword of ice and thunder forms in his hands. With a single decisive strike, he cleaves through the skeleton, shattering it into countless fragments in an instant. His classmates stare in shock at his speed. It is so fast that it looks like teleportation. Even the assistant and the teacher are left speechless, both wondering if this boy is really a rookie. As the comments continue, his armor slowly dissipates. Our protagonist notes that his skill is flexible enough to work for both attack and defense. Right after the chaos settles, Riku calls out to him to check if he is okay. Unable to hold back, Riku rushes over and hugs him. clearly relieved that his bro is okay. Our protagonist then asks where Saya is since she is nowhere to be seen. His friend explains that she was standing nearby earlier, almost crying from worry, but suddenly vanished, and no one knows where she went. He looks around the crowd and wonders if she might be angry with him for taking such a dangerous risk during the fight. Nearby, the blue-haired woman stares in disbelief, unable to accept that he defeated such a powerful monster. The commander orders her to clean up the area. Riku casually says that Saya probably went to touch the monument, afraid of being left behind, and tells him there is no reason to worry. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls Itsuki's name from behind. The unexpected call makes him freeze. When he turns around, he finds himself face to face with Commander Izumi, who is staring at him with a serious expression. The other students keep their distance while quietly speculating. Some wonder if the commander plans to train him, but quickly dismiss the idea as impossible. Feeling the pressure in the air, Riku becomes awkward and says he's going to search for Saya, hoping to escape the tense atmosphere as fast as possible. The commander steps closer and states that the young man is quite special. The comment leaves Itsuki confused, as he does not understand what makes him special. Izumi explains that he can sense a heart completely filled with rage and hatred. He says he wants to know the reason behind such deep darkness. Our protagonist begins to explain that everything started 10 years ago, when his parents were killed by a disaster beast. A painful memory resurfaces, showing his younger self trembling and crying during the attack. He nearly died as well, but an awakened appeared at the last moment and saved him. In her final moments, his mother told him to keep moving forward and walk his own path alone. The young boy could only scream for her, overwhelmed by fear and helplessness. After the tragedy, he blamed himself for their deaths. Over time, that guilt twisted into uncontrollable fury. At that moment, he saw the creature responsible for everything standing right before him. Hatred flooded his heart. His eyes glowed red as he swore that one day he would take revenge. Returning to the present, he finishes telling his story. Tears run down his face as he promises to kill every single monster. The commander asks why tears still fall from a heart filled with hatred. Our protagonist explains that since that day, only his right eye cries, serving as a reminder that his hatred will never fade. Izumi then invites him to become his student and join the Salvation's League. He explains that it is a global organization made up of the strongest awakened, created to fight disaster beasts. Saviors receive special training and generous monthly rewards. However, he warns that nothing comes for free, as saviors must fight on the front lines to protect humanity. Our protagonist thinks that rewards and resources mean nothing to him. What matters is something else entirely. With a firm expression, he clenches his fist and declares his desire to become a savior and fight on the front lines. The commander explains that to qualify, he must rank in the top 100 of a tournament with over 1,000 participants. He adds that he is not much of a benchmark, but shares the record anyway. The highest score ever achieved is 115,000 points, set 11 years ago by Taiwajin. Itsuki immediately recognizes the name, known worldwide as the light of humanity and the strongest awakened alive. The commander says that comparing himself to such a legend is foolish, but admits that the boy has the potential to stand beside him. With unwavering confidence, our protagonist declares that he will surpass Taiwajin. Hearing this, a spark of surprise and interest appears in Commander Izumi's eyes. In a brief flashback, Taiwajin reflects that a new sun must rise to win the war against the beasts. Returning to the present, the commander states that the sun he has been waiting for has finally appeared. They move to another location, where our protagonist asks about the massive structure before them. Izumi explains that the stone monuments act as gateways to the world of disaster beasts. Killing the creatures alone is not enough, as more will continue to appear unless the portals are destroyed. The facility exists to isolate these monuments and serve as a training ground for awakened individuals. When asked if it is a training facility, the commander confirms and calls it a stage. He warns that the beasts inside are extremely dangerous, and that the place is known as the Rookie Graveyard. He adds that even Taiwajin needed 3 minutes and 14 seconds to clear it as a rookie. Reminding him of his earlier words about surpassing the hero, the commander challenges him to finish the stage in 3 minutes. He proposes that success will make him an official disciple. As they enter the building, people recognize the commander and whisper among themselves, wondering who the rookie accompanying him might be. Our protagonist feels surprised by the attention and wonders if the commander is truly that famous. A screen displays the stage information, revealing that the beasts inside are level 10. Itsuki questions how strong that really is. A crowd gathers, speculating about the young man. Some think he is nothing more than a pretty face. He approaches the reception desk and states his intention to enter the stage. The receptionist asks how many participants. With calm confidence, he says he is going in alone. The answer leaves her shocked. The scene shows him standing alone while others observe from afar. The receptionist grows angry, believing it is a joke, and warns that the place is extremely dangerous. The crowd laughs, assuming he is trying to flirt with her. He cuts her off and makes it clear that he has no interest in her and only came to challenge the stage. She does not believe him and offers her number, thinking he is pretending to save face. His expression darkens as he firmly tells her not to make him repeat himself. Frightened, she finally hands over the entry bracelet and states that she takes no responsibility. The crowd mocks him, calling him an idiot and claiming that a level 0 rookie entering a level 10 stage is suicide. Some believe he may have a special power, but others argue that level matters more than talent. With the bracelet secured, he approaches the gate and scans it. A screen confirms the entry of awakened Itsuki Tenma into the stage. Cracking his knuckles, he recalls the promise to finish within 3 minutes. A digital timer begins counting down as the challenge starts. His eyes glow red as he sprints forward. The inside of the stage is far larger than expected. He stops and focuses, already sensing enemies approaching. A wooden monster suddenly attacks, but the system identifies it as only level 4. Without hesitation, he forms an ice blade and kills it. A giant ice axe appears in his hands as he grins, provoking the monsters watching nearby. Soon, a horde of wooden creatures emerges, surrounding him and preparing for battle. Outside, the assistant questions why the commander placed him in such a stage when others exist for rookies. She insists that surpassing Taiwajin is impossible unless someone transcends humanity itself. She recalls how the hero once appeared gentle, yet annihilated a level 97 beast. His eyes that day were cold and lonely, no longer human. She concludes that those were not the eyes of a man, but of a true god. The commander responds that the boy has the potential to rival Taiwajin, though he remains unpolished. He explains that while Taiwajin is a god who saves people, Itsuki is the opposite, a demon driven by hatred. Inside the stage, our protagonist realizes that enemies of this level cannot even activate his overmimesis skill. His inner demon awakens, hatred burning brightly in his red eyes. He charges forward, ice blade flashing as monsters fall one after another. He wonders if that is truly all a level 10 stage has to offer, but quickly dismisses the thought. The system activates overmimesis after detecting a regeneration skill. An analysis begins, reaching 5%. The monster he sliced in half rapidly regenerates. Once fully restored, its stats increase drastically. To defend himself, he activates a black ice wall and forms a blade along his arm. He understands that massive damage is required to stop regeneration as the analysis reaches 17%. Relentlessly, Itsuki continues attacking with his ice blades. As the analysis progresses further, he summons a massive ice sword and delivers a powerful downward strike. The attack splits the wooden creature straight down the middle, leaving its body completely torn apart. A wicked smile spreads across the young man's face as he shouts that it is not over yet and that he will cut it apart until regeneration becomes impossible. He uses his ice-covered arms to hold the two halves apart, preventing them from reconnecting. At last, The creature shatters into multiple pieces and is finally defeated. Our protagonist notes that maintaining black ice for so long is rapidly draining his mana. However, his relief does not last. Right before his eyes, the wooden creature begins to reassemble itself once more. Seeing this, the monster launches another attack, and he complains that the thing still refuses to stay down. At the same time, the analysis reaches 60%. With each regeneration, the analysis progresses further. Realizing this, he decides to switch tactics and use lightning to conserve mana while keeping his distance. He understands that victory depends entirely on completing the analysis, but the timer is running out and there is no time to waste. As the 3-minute limit draws closer, he combines ice and thunder, pushing the analysis to 75%. He activates both skills at once, deliberately forcing regeneration to speed up the copying process. He knows the risk is extreme because if the copied skill consumes mana, defeat is guaranteed. While dodging relentless attacks, the analysis reaches 80%. Even then, he accepts the danger and continues fighting. Mid-attack, the analysis increases by another 5%. His eyes glow red as he charges forward, lightning surging around his body. With all his remaining strength, he delivers a devastating strike straight to the wooden monster's head. Completely drained, the young man struggles to stay standing after exhausting so much energy. At that moment, several sharp spikes pierce through his body. He realizes his mana has completely run out. Despite this, a smile appears on his face because the copied skill does not require mana. With the analysis finished, he knows the battle is already decided. As the analysis reaches 100%, a blue lotus flower materializes before him. He acquires a new skill called Lotus Burst. A system screen displays the details, revealing that the skill deals explosive damage and includes a passive effect. His stats increase by 20 points across the board, and all of his injuries are instantly healed. Facing the monster once more, our protagonist prepares to activate the newly acquired ability. Bringing his hands together, he unleashes Lotus Burst for the first time. A massive explosion shaped like a blazing lotus flower slams into the wooden creature head-on. The impact is overwhelming, sending a destructive wave of fire and force that annihilates everything in its path. Satisfied with the result, he comments that the new skill is surprisingly effective. He also notices that the copy skill restored his mana, making future battles much easier. As the smoke clears, something catches his attention. A glowing green crystal lies on the ground. Outside the stage, the receptionist begins to panic. Nearly 3 minutes have passed, and she prepares to call for emergency rescue. The assistant believes it is impossible for him to clear the stage so quickly, even though she knows he would not lose to the monster. Suddenly, the screen flashes green, announcing that a new record has been set. Everyone freezes in shock. The blue-haired woman stares at the screen, unable to believe what she is seeing. She wonders how such a result is even possible. The display confirms the completion time as 2 minutes and 14 seconds. She shouts in disbelief that it has not even reached 3 minutes. Moments later, Itsuki exits the portal with a Chad-like aura. The screen continues to display his record. The crowd finally erupts into chaos, knowing he cleared the stage 1 full minute faster than Taiwajin, all while being a level 0 rookie. Our protagonist stands and asks the commander if this means he has officially become his student. With a confident smile, he looks at the man and addresses him as teacher for the first time. Izumi praises him without hesitation and accepts him as his disciple. The assistant notes that she has not seen the commander this happy in a very long time. The crowd is stunned to learn that the young man is now the commander's student. Even so, some still doubt his future potential. Seeing this, the receptionist approaches him with an embarrassed expression. She offers a gift and apologizes for her earlier behavior. Itsuki accepts the box calmly and says there is no issue, understanding that she was simply worried about a stranger's safety. He thanks her for her concern, causing her face to turn bright red as she becomes completely flustered. The blue-haired woman calls for him to leave, appearing slightly irritated by the situation. She warns him not to become arrogant just because he is now her father's student. The commander agrees and suggests raising the difficulty level. He states that the current stage is far too easy and that the young man is already capable of attempting advanced stages. As they walk away, the assistant explains that level alone does not determine a beast's strength. The true deciding factor is the species. Some beasts act purely on instinct, but others possess intelligence equal to or even greater than humans, making them far more dangerous. The blue-haired woman warns that awakened beasts are similar in many ways, but only humans possess classes. Because of this, she explains that his next destination will be the advanced stages of District 4. With a dark expression, our protagonist wonders whether the beasts he killed felt pain. Sensing his ominous aura, the assistant feels uneasy and wonders what thoughts are running through his mind. Well, isn't the answer obvious? He wants to enjoy torturing them before killing them. Nearby, some people whisper that the stages in District 4 are controlled by someone named Reiji Kinoshita. One man quickly tells his friend to stop talking, warning that trouble could follow if someone overhears. The scene shifts to Reiji Kinoshita, the son of the North District chief. He appears arrogant and relaxed as a guard asks when he plans to leave. Reiji responds that the place belongs to him and that he will leave whenever he feels like it. With a smug smile, he claims that standing in line is something only common people do. Returning to our protagonist, he opens the receptionist's gift and finds a glowing white stone inside. He sits with the commander and the assistant and mentions that the stone looks familiar. Izumi asks whether he has seen a karma stone before. Holding the item, Itsuki recalls the large green crystal dropped by the monster earlier and notes a slight difference in color. The assistant is shocked to learn that an intermediate karma stone appeared in a rookie stage. Since our boy is as clueless as us, she explains that karma stones are experience stones. When a beast is defeated, it releases energy that is normally absorbed by the awakener to level up. These stones store that energy for later use. She finds it extremely strange that one would find naturally in such a low-level stage. Perhaps it is related to our boy's skills. Commander Izumi explains that this phenomenon is likely related to the young man's gift. Both Itsuki and the assistant are confused by the explanation. The commander continues, stating that normally the experience energy would be absorbed directly, but the boy did not level up at all. He theorizes that the experience from the first monster was unintentionally absorbed by everyone present at the time, including himself and the blue-haired woman. As a result, the energy inside the stage had nowhere to go. Since no one else was present later, the remaining energy condensed and formed a karma stone. The assistant asks out of curiosity about how his stats increase if he cannot level up normally. The commander cuts her off immediately, stating that an awakened's gift is confidential. He tells Itsuki to do whatever he wants with the stone and informs him that he will be attending a conference for a while. Before leaving, he gives 4 rules. First, he needs to keep their relationship a secret and never speak about his gift to others. He must clear 6 advanced stages before returning and finally do what is right without hesitation. The commander promises to stand by him no matter what happens. Our protagonist agrees without hesitation, smiling confidently as he promises to follow every order given by his master. In District 4, 2 awakened individuals argue with security guards. They complain that the stage has been reserved by the Kinoshita family. One of them grows furious and states that wealth does not grant the right to act without limits. He insists on entering the stage, pointing out that the rich heir has not even arrived yet. He threatens to report the situation to the Awakened Guild. Suddenly, a dark figure with glowing red eyes appears behind them. The man tries to attack, but a powerful punch strikes him first, sending his body flying. The muscular man sees a spike heading his way. His body suddenly turns to iron, causing 0 damage. The awakened attacker freezes in shock. His B-rank skill failed completely. He cannot believe that his attack did not even leave a scratch. The brute reveals a metallic face with glowing red eyes and casually states that it barely tickled. The second awakened trembles in fear, wondering whether the figure before him is even human. His technique was supposed to pierce through anything. Without hesitation, the brute grabs him. Without showing any mercy, the muscular figure attacks again. The awakened has no chance to defend himself. The crowd recognizes the attacker as Takeru Oga, one of Reiji Kinoshida's pillars and a level 12 metal elementalist. Holding both men with ease, Takeru warns that no one may enter without permission. He declares that anyone who resists will suffer the same fate. He throws one man to the ground and lifts the other by the neck, making his threat clear. He tells the onlookers not to even think about intervening. One of the men in suits warns Takeru not to go too far, his tone filled with mockery as he reminds him that people are watching and that the master may become angry. Takeru ignores the warning and throws the awakened to the ground with complete disdain, showing no concern for the consequences. At that moment, our protagonist and the blue-haired woman arrive and move to help the injured man, who immediately points at Takeru. The crowd murmurs nervously, noting that the young man is only level 0 and that stepping in now could spell disaster. Someone in the crowd points out that the woman standing beside him looks familiar. At that moment, Takeru roars in anger, shouting that no one is allowed to pass without permission. He orders the young man to get lost unless he wants to end up the same way as the others. Our hero understands that defeating this man is the only way forward. The blue-haired woman says she will contact the administrator, but Itsuki stops her, stating there is no need. He remembers his master's words about fighting for what he believes in with everything he has. He asks the assistant to take care of the injured while he deals with the brute himself. The system displays our protagonist's stats. Takeru scoffs, questioning why a level 0 dares to challenge him. Even so, he feels a strange pressure radiating from the young man. Takeru's own stats appear, showing a total of 605 points. Despite his higher level, tension builds within him, and he cannot understand why. He locks his gaze onto the boy, trying to figure out where such confidence and hidden power come from. In the reflection of his eye, he suddenly sees Itsuki charging forward at an absurd speed. Before he can react, a powerful punch slams directly into Teru's metallic face. The crowd gasps in shock at the speed of the attack. One person admits that a level 8 awakened, tracking that movement is impossible. The impact is so intense that a smile begins spreading across Takeru's metal face. Takeru praises the young man's speed. He notices the damage, but claims the attack lacks power. With that, he counters with a heavy attack that sends Itsuki flying. Recovering quickly, Itsuki realizes that Thunder Wave is necessary. Using it will increase agility and allow him to fight a stronger enemy. His status screen appears as the Overmiss skill activates. The analysis of the enemy's metallization begins at 1%. He is surprised that the opponent is strong enough to trigger his copy skill. Deciding to fight seriously, he understands that attacks must target the opponent's fleshy areas. The analysis climbs to 5% as his plan forms. Planting his feet firmly on the ground, our protagonist prepares to rush forward at full speed. Takeru mocks him, claiming he lacks both power and speed, and readies another attack with a confident grin. Taking advantage of the open guard, Itsuki activates Thunder Wave again, pushing his speed even higher. Takeru is startled when lightning flashes across the young man's body. Itsuki charges forward, determined not to give him time to fully metallize. A barrage of rapid strikes follows, forcing the analysis to climb at an incredible rate. Within seconds, the percentage jumps from 25 to 66. The crowd erupts in disbelief. They cannot understand how skills from another class are being used. Some begin to believe the level 0 might actually defeat Takeru. The brute grows desperate as the relentless speed overwhelms him. He realizes that if this continues, the defeat will be humiliating. Unable to maintain control, Takeru wonders why his men are not helping and are just standing around. He knows he has reached his limit. Grinding his teeth, he decides to use his final trump card. With a furious roar, Takaru releases an enormous amount of energy. The power is so intense that his shirt tears apart. He fully metallizes his entire body, and the analysis climbs to 88%. He thanks the young man for forcing him into this state. Takaru explains that fully metallized parts receive a massive defense boost. His total defense now surpasses 500 points. He states that he originally planned to split the boy in half, but out of gratitude, he promises a quick and painless end. The crowd is stunned. Such defense is absurdly high. Many believe the fight was already over. Our protagonist calmly theorizes that maintaining full metallization consumes enormous mana. With defense that high, the opponent's mana reserves cannot last long. Takara laughs at the claim, but inwardly he is shocked. He wonders how a level 0 could have such sharp instincts. Itsuki states that there is no intention to drag the fight out. It will end immediately. At that moment, the analysis reaches 100%. The blue lotus flower appears once again, and the blue-haired woman realizes that the young man is growing stronger with every battle. The crowd does not understand the skill, believing it does not look like an attack. The analysis completes, and Itsuki acquires a new skill called Piercing Sphere. However, the displayed speed is only 1 meter per second. Despite this, determination fills his eyes. He vows to crush the opponent's greatest pride and shatter that overwhelming defense. With a new skill, his stats rise by 10 points. His injuries are fully healed, and his body appears within the blue lotus flower. He challenges Takaru to dodge the next attack and activates Piercing Sphere with confidence. The crowd cannot believe that a level 0 is challenging a level 12 head-on. They notice something unsettling in his eyes. A small sphere of dark purple energy forms in front of him, glowing with an ominous power. The sphere slowly moves forward, drifting toward Takaru at a painfully slow pace. This belief erupts from the crowd. Some mock the attack, calling it nothing more than a tiny ball. Takaru also laughs, telling the young man not to embarrass himself. He cannot believe such a weak-looking attack could stop him. With a mocking smile, he wonders if this is truly the opponent's final card. He declares that our boy will meet a miserable end. Suddenly, the sphere strikes him square in the arm. The moment of impact catches him completely off guard. Pain and shock twist across his face as he fails to understand what just happened. The sphere passes straight through his metal body as if it does not exist. The attack cleanly pierces his absolute defense. Itsuki calmly explains that only the right arm was spared because the opponent is human. If the target were a beast, the attack would have gone straight for the neck. He then turns toward the men in suits with a cold expression. He orders them to take the injured man to the hospital and grimly tells them to get out of his sight. Terrified, the men quickly lift their fallen leader and flee the area. The blue-haired woman and the crowd erupt in celebration. No one can believe what just happened. The two men excitedly approach Itsuki and suggest forming a group. They claim that together, clearing the stage would be easy. One of them excitedly mentions having a healer, allowing him to repeat the use of his dark spheres. Our protagonist considers that high defense monsters are perfect for increasing the sphere's speed. Even so, when pressured for an answer, he firmly refuses. With a serious expression, he states that he will enter the stage alone. The crowd is stunned. Entering an advanced level 15 stage solo is considered madness. The men could only leave feeling disappointed, acknowledging our protagonist's strength. The other man sighed, said goodbye, and left to look for another team. The blue-haired woman warned that he was pushing his luck. The monsters had high defense, and she worried about mana consumption. Itsuki reassured her calmly. She turns red and denies being worried. She says she will handle the injured and tells him to do whatever he wants. Before he leaves, she warns that stone beasts move in groups and reminds him to manage his mana carefully. Our hero acknowledges the advice and approaches the gate. The system confirms his entry. Upon entering the stage, he surveys the surroundings. The number of enemies is far greater than expected. The battlefield is rocky and barren. Multiple stone creatures with glowing eyes stare at him from afar. The system displays the stats of Stone Statue, showing a total of 460 points and a trait that converts magic into defense. Our protagonist prepares to test his new ability. He wants to confirm whether the monsters trigger the sphere's passive effect. The piercing sphere activates, glowing intensely as purple and blue energy gathers in his hand. He launches the orb toward a stone creature. The monster charges forward, unaware of the danger. The sphere strikes its chest and blasts a massive hole straight through it. The system confirms the defeat of a level 9 stone statue. Immediately, the sphere's speed increases by 100%. His theory is proven correct. 3 more stone creatures emerge and face him, clearly more aggressive than the first. He realizes that slow enemies are perfect targets for his ability. Lightning wraps around his body as he prepares for battle. Several enemies fall, but each shot costs 50 mana. With his remaining reserves, only 2 shots remain. 2 monsters approach, and the boss is yet to appear. Careful planning becomes necessary. He decides that the 2 beasts must be killed with a single attack. He leaps high into the air, gaining a superior position. From above, the battlefield unfolds beneath him. With a wicked smile and glowing red eyes filled with adrenaline, our boy prepares to deliver the final blow. He gathers all his remaining energy into the sphere and throws it down with everything he has. The attack strikes both monsters directly, and the sphere's speed increases once more with the system immediately confirms 2 eliminations. Completely drained and out of mana, he collapses to the ground. Our protagonist complains inwardly, wishing he had a mana recovery skill. Even in this exhausted state, he realizes he can now hit targets moving at 5 meters per second. His ability has clearly grown much stronger. The screen displays the details of Piercing Sphere, showing that the speed increase can reach up to 500%. The ground suddenly trembles violently. A massive shadow looms over our protagonist. The massive foot moves to crush him beneath it. The creature is revealed to be the stage boss, letting out a deafening roar. The stone creature activates a B-rank skill called Gigantification, causing its defensive power to skyrocket as its body expands dramatically. The screen reveals its status, level 15, with a total of 777 points. Facing this threat, Itsuki activates Thunder Wave, boosting his agility by 50%. Our protagonist questions whether Piercing Sphere can even penetrate such a tough enemy. After a brief thought, he decides that aiming for the head is the only way to deal meaningful damage. He leaps into the air, spots a perfect opening, and prepares to release his attack with all his strength. But he quickly realizes the sphere is too small and may not deal enough damage to bring down the giant. The stone monster seizes the moment and swings its massive arm toward him. Our hero falls into despair, knowing he cannot dodge while still in midair. With no other choice, he activates Black Ice Wall to shield himself from the blow. The attack crashes into the ice barrier with overwhelming force, shattering it instantly. He is sent flying into the wall, and he admits that the creature is far stronger than expected. At that moment, his over-mimesis skill activates upon detecting Gigantification. A smile appears on his face, knowing this will work in his favor. Far away, Reiji Kinoshita relaxes in his mansion when one of his subordinates suddenly receives a call and reacts in shock. The loud reaction irritates the rich young man, who orders him to quiet down since he hates shouting. The man hurriedly apologizes, and Reiji asks what could be so surprising. The subordinate reports that someone defeated Takaru and forced their way into the reserve stage. Reiji immediately becomes furious and wonders if an awakened above level 30 was responsible. The man explains that all high-level awakened are busy and that only rookies are present there. Because of this, it seems impossible for a rookie to defeat Takaru. Reiji demands more information, but then decides details are unnecessary. If they leave now, they can still arrive in time. His subordinates advise caution, as they do not know the identity of the person who put Takaru in the hospital, let alone his true strength. Irritated by the hesitation, He yells for his subordinate to move at once without making him repeat himself, because he is just another trash character who is going to be humbled by the protagonist. Terrified, the man agrees and prepares to leave. Reiji removes his coat and swears to take revenge on whoever dared to offend the Kinoshita family. Back at the stage, the analysis reaches 100%. Our hero appears within the blue lotus flower. The skill is successfully copied, while the giant stone creature continues to glare at him. Itsuki notices that the analysis is complete and that piercing sphere has advanced to level 2. The screen shows the updated details. The sphere now travels at 7 meters per second, and its size can be freely adjusted. The passive bonus has doubled, and mana can now be used to control the sphere's size. Excited by this improvement, our protagonist decides to test the new ability immediately without wasting time. The screen confirms piercing sphere level 2 and rewards him with 20 stat points, and his overall totals increase. Standing atop the giant golem, he pours all his remaining mana into creating the strongest piercing sphere possible. A massive purple and black sphere forms and crashes downward with unstoppable force. The attack lands directly, piercing the stone monster from head to toe with terrifying power. Lying on the ground afterward, completely drained, our hero smiles and wonders if he may have gone too far, as his mana has dropped to 0. The system confirms the golem's defeat and announces a 200% increase in sphere speed. Holding a green karma stone, he calculates that after 2 more runs, the sphere will move as fast as a car. He then realizes he had ignored the passive effects before, even though they are actually very useful. With a satisfied smile, he recalls that Lotus Burst increases the range of all his skills. The screen explains that the skill increases its range by 1% with every kill. He imagines the terrifying potential this holds. Basically, he could one-shot a disaster-level beast while standing several thousand meters away. Outside, the panel announces that the challenge was completed in 3 minutes and 1 second. The crowd is left speechless, since even a team of 5 usually takes 10 minutes, and this result breaks Taiwajin's record. When our hero exits the stage, people are confused. He is still level 0 and does not appear injured at all. The blue-haired assistant watches him closely and remarks that he passed again without a scratch and even broke the record. She adds that he was extremely fast and looks at him with clear surprise. Our protagonist explains that the creature was weak against piercing attacks and then asks about the glowing butterfly beside her. She poses for dramatic effect, introduces herself as a Shikigami user, and explains that the butterfly is her jade familiar. The young man is amazed, saying this is the first time he has seen a Shikigami and that it is very beautiful. He then asks about the different types of awakened classes, shocking her with his lack of common knowledge. The assistant explains that there are 4 main categories, and that 3 have already been seen. The first is Elementalist, awakened who manipulates one of the 7 elements. They're the most common and among the strongest. She mentions his classmate as an example, and also explains that the brute Takaru he fought earlier is a metal elementalist. The second class is the Shikigami user, who can summon a familiar that obeys only its master. She reveals that a Shikigami has been with its master since birth, and that its stats are clearly displayed. After finishing her explanation, she asks if there are any questions. Itsuki points out that her Shikigami is stronger than she is and questions whether she is truly a senior. Our protagonist's words are completely unfiltered, clearly lacking in the communication department. She explains that Shikigamis also gain experience, which is why they are always stronger than their users. A dark thought crosses our protagonist's mind, realizing that attacking the user directly would be easier in a real fight. The blue-haired woman suddenly feels a chilling aura leaking from him and becomes frightened, wondering what is wrong. He ignores her reaction and asks about the next class, since only 2 have been explained so far. Under pressure, she reveals that the 3rd class is the most mysterious, with very little information available. She then points out that this class is his own, the Order Breakers. The young man is left stunned. The mystery exists because each Order Breaker possesses completely unique abilities, such as his blue lotus flower. She gives examples like controlling body size, creating clones, or stretching the body. Normal skills range from C to S rank, but order breakers possess exclusive Z rank skills. These unique abilities are what make them special, and also the reason her father, the commander, scolded her for asking about his skills. She calls him an irregular existence, pointing out that he used 3 different skills, 2 of which were elemental abilities. Our protagonist thinks that since his master is not around, it is fine for her to keep talking. He then asks about the final class, but the blue-haired woman raises a finger, signaling silence. With a playful smile, she declares this to be punishment for him not sharing anything about himself. He accepts this outcome calmly. She then informs him that the student he saved earlier is doing fine and asks about his next plans. Our protagonist says he intends to clear the stage again, but she warns that there is a 2-day cooldown. Surprised by the long wait, he understands why the Kinoshita family were running a monopoly, so he decides to focus on leveling up Lotus Burst instead. He then asks if there is a stage filled with many monsters suitable for training. The assistant smiles and says she knows the perfect place. She warns that it will be difficult without an area of effect attack, but he responds with confident smile. He confirms his decision and realizes she has no idea about his Lotus Burst. The destination is the Locust Desert, a place with over 1,000 low-level monsters that attack in massive swarms. She insists the danger is real, but the young man reassures her that everything will be fine. The crowd thinks he has lost his mind, and someone mentions that Reiji Kinoshita will definitely appear. At the same time, the rich young man arrives at the stage and discovers his target is already gone. His subordinate confirms that the target left after clearing the area in just 30 minutes. Reiji explodes in rage, unable to accept that he is being toyed with like this. He orders his men to contact a tracker and follow the mana trails. Filled with hatred, he shouts that the target must be captured alive so he can personally make him suffer. Elsewhere, an assassin hides in the shadows, complaining that he never expected the rich kid to have such a powerful subordinate. Relieved to have escaped, he believes he would already be dead without his skill. He hides in a narrow alley, convinced he is finally safe. A massive wolf with glowing red eyes suddenly appears and attacks without warning. The beast bites down fiercely, leaving no chance for the assassin to defend himself. From the side, the tracker Charles watches calmly alongside his giant wolf. The assassin is filled with terror, unable to understand how he was found so quickly. With a confident smile, Charles explains that his familiar, Death, possesses an extremely sharp sense of smell. He adds that the wolf can detect the scent of death clinging to its prey. Desperate, the man begs not to be killed and breaks down in fear, but Charles calmly explains that sparing him is not an option. Kinoshita would be furious if mercy was shown. His eyes glow red as he orders his wolf to enjoy the meal placed before it. The giant wolf moves forward and ends the man's life on the spot. Shortly after, Charles remarks that his familiar has finally leveled up after a long time. The screen displays the Hound of Death updated status, now level 16 and equipped with new skills. With the task completed, Charles answers a call and states in a serious tone that the job is finished. But he is quickly informed about Takaru's situation, and the guy is currently in a hospital. Charles wonders if someone managed to discover the brute's weak point. A smile spreads across his face as he turns to the giant wolf and mentions that a new prey has appeared, giving them another hunt to look forward to. Far away, the protagonist arrives with a blue-haired woman at a location known as the Locust Desert. He looks over the wheat fields and questions whether there are truly that many locusts in the area. The assistant explains that beasts choose environments they favor and that predicting this is a basic skill. She adds that the stage is so dangerous that there are discussions about shutting it down altogether. The protagonist notices the absence of a receptionist and questions why, since the stage is only level 13. She explains that the rules here are different. The beasts are extremely aggressive, and their numbers are absurd. A single moment of carelessness is enough to be completely surrounded and devoured alive. A skull stripped clean to the bone appears as proof of the danger ahead. Despite this, The protagonist smiles and says this is exactly what he wanted. The woman wonders if he is in a rush to die, but he confidently replies that he is not desperate enough to turn him into insect food. She watches as he steps into the portal, noting how confident he appears despite the risks. She reminds herself that all warnings were given, and whatever happens is no longer her responsibility. Suddenly, she remembers that the locusts respawn endlessly until the boss is defeated. Realizing the danger, she decides to go warn him. Before she can move, she senses a killing intent. Turning around, she realizes it is Charles and his death hound. With a sinister smile, Charles states that he is searching for someone. The scene shifts to our boy inside the stage. He comments on the environment with a smile, then claps his hands and declares that it's time for pest extermination. In the middle of the desolate land stands a lone scarecrow, making the abandoned field feel even more eerie. The system screen reveals Level 1 and Level 2 locusts, and he notes that their individual levels are low. Soon after, a massive swarm of locusts fills the sky. The sheer number is overwhelming. With a sharp look, he activates Lotus Burst and declares the situation perfect for training. Ice armor forms around his body as he explains the plan to let them gather before wiping them out in one strike. The locusts completely surround him. The moment arrives and Lotus Burst activates instantly. A blinding light erupts from the center of the swarm. The explosion tears through the locusts, destroying many at once. The system confirms the kills and notes an increase in range. Notifications continue to appear as the protagonist stands calmly amid the destruction. The power of the skill is overwhelming. The screen shows the skill at Level 2, with a diameter of 10.5 meters and a total range increase of 110%. Our protagonist begins calculating. He reveals that using only 10% of mana allows roughly 10 shots, boosting the range by nearly 1,000%. The mana display reads 280 out of 252. This leads him to complain about the stage's cooldown mechanics, thinking everything is over. However, confusion sets in when the success notification fails to appear, making him realize that something is wrong. The system suddenly detects a C-rank skill, and over-mimesis analysis activates at 1%. The protagonist is mentally shocked, wondering if one of the locusts survived. Almost immediately, another massive swarm surrounds him from all directions. Protected by his ice armor, our boy creates some distance, realizing he needs to be careful. The detected skill must belong to the stage boss, but the problem is that he can't sense the boss's location. Fortunately, he can expand his skill range. With this in mind, he decides to keep slaughtering locusts until the boss finally reveals itself. Another explosion is unleashed, and the system confirms more kills, pushing the range to 220%. Our boy expresses shock, knowing the skill's diameter expands to 16 meters, producing devastating results. Even after wiping out countless swarms, the boss still refuses to appear. The truth is revealed when locust eggs hidden underground begin hatching. The creatures are reborn endlessly. As the monsters continue appearing, the boss skill analysis climbs to 27%. With his current mana, our boy knows he can use Lotus Burst only 9 times at most. His hand ignites with power as he declares that sheer numbers make no difference. Ice armor tightens, and a vow is made to exterminate them all. Another massive explosion follows, with the system confirming the eliminations. Notifications flood the screen as the skill is used twice in succession. Without allowing any recovery, the attack continues several times in a row. The screen shows the skill's diameter expanding to 54.5 meters with a 990% bonus. Mana drops to the point where only one final attack remains. But the locusts keep coming, completely surrounding him. The situation grows desperate as the endless swarms close in. Worse still, the boss is yet to appear. For a moment, our boy considers a temporary retreat, planning to challenge the stage again once the analysis is complete. But the thought is rejected instantly. To him, giving up now would mean defeat, and that is unacceptable. His eyes flare with determination as he prepares for the final attack. Every remaining ounce of strength is poured into one last lotus burst. The explosion erupts with maximum force. Our boy is struck by exhaustion. Even after all this destruction, the locust numbers remain unchanged. Fortunately, the analysis reaches 91%. Itsuki studies the locusts closely and discovers that their bodies are smaller than those from the first wave. It dawns on him that the boss's skill is infinite reproduction. The system displays her stats. She is level 13 and capable of controlling up to 110 locusts simultaneously. With this information, he knows it is pointless to keep killing the spawn if the boss can endlessly reproduce them. The only option is to kill the boss, but his mana is already depleted. The swarm closes in, but thankfully, the analysis reaches 100% at the nick of time. His sphere appears, saving him in the process. Our boy acquires a new skill called mana detection. As the name suggests, the skill allows him to sense traces of mana and restores 10% mana for every enemy detected. Finding this extremely helpful, he now possesses both a detection skill and a recovery skill. A wicked smile forms as he imagines endlessly farming locusts with this ability. He had initially planned to go all out, but he doesn't want to keep the assistant waiting. The system confirms a gain of 10 points in all stats, with full restoration of health and mana. Total stats now reach 1,120. Using mana detection, he begins to locate the boss. A wave of blue energy spreads across the entire wasteland. The wave expands until it finally detects the Locust Queen hidden underground. The moment he discovers the Queen's location, he confidently prepares his final attack, and his confidence surges. He declares that even if she uses her offspring as a shield, it's useless now because of the passive effects of Lotus Burst and Clear Orb movement. The system displays an attack range of 120 meters as he rips through the ground at terrifying speed. The Locust Queen is struck head-on and tries to escape. In the next moment, the protagonist appears behind her, covered in lightning and ice armor. With a cruel smile, the battle is declared over. The queen is cut into pieces with an ice blade, leaving no chance for survival. The remaining locusts fall into chaos without their queen. With a burning hand raised, he says they will soon reunite with their mother. Later, our boy realizes that the range of his abilities has now surpassed 1,210%, and the orb's reach extends to 131 meters. The system confirms that Lotus Burst now has a diameter of 65.5 meters. Itsuki collects the Karma Stone, impressed by the outcome. He considers returning to the Locust Desert once the cooldown ends to push his Locust passive even further. The whole process took 17 minutes, breaking the previous record. Realizing it took so long, he assumes the assistant must be worried. He thinks that when he returns, she might act aloof and try to scold him. But her considerate side and her inability to express herself make her cute. Our boy emerges from the portal, apologizing for taking so long. But his expression changes in an instant. Charles holds her by the neck and, seeing him, remarks that if he cleared the stage alone, he must be the person Reiji has been searching for. He explains that he attempts to extract information about our protagonist, but even while injured, she remains silent. At that moment, the protagonist steps forward and demands that those dirty hands be removed from her. In exchange, only one thing is promised. Charles will be left barely standing. Charles bursts into laughter at the threat and mocks the boy for acting tough despite being a level 0 rookie. Without hesitation, Itsuki surges forward, his body wrapped in lightning as he launches an attack. Charles is stunned by the absurd speed and feels a sense of impending doom, but the giant wolf suddenly appears and blocks the punch with its head, protecting its master. The system immediately detects a B-rank Shikigami, and overmimesis activates, beginning an analysis of the creature. From this, the protagonist realizes the wolf is a Shikigami and the man in the hat is a user. Charles thinks about the boy's movement and speed, finally understanding why Takara lost, believing the guy didn't have the chance to activate his armor. But boy is he wrong. With both his familiar and hostage in hand, he believes he has the advantage and a clear path to coming out on top. Itsuki calls out the assistant name while holding back the wolf as the analysis percentage continues to rise. Death suddenly opens its massive jaws and lunges forward, trying to crush the hero's arm with its bite. Charles thinks to himself that his wolf's bite can destroy any defense below 300. His expression twists into pure shock when the attack is stopped cold by an ice-covered arm. The protagonist forms a piercing sphere and drives it into the wolf's mouth. The young man states that without a shikigami, a user is helpless as the analysis reaches 77%. Charles cannot believe what he is seeing and questions whether the boy truly understands that he is still just a rookie. He explains that death has a response skill that drastically shortens its revival time. As the wolf regenerates, Charles shouts for it to turn the boy into dog food. In response, the protagonist activates Mana Sense, releasing a wave of energy that spreads across the area. He narrowly dodges the attack and notes that keeping the skill active was the right decision. The analysis continues, and Itsuki realizes it is nearly complete. However, summoning the Blue Lotus could make the enemy suspicious. Charles grows desperate, realizing the young man surpasses him in power, speed, and even detection. He tightens his grip on Choha and threatens her life again if the resistance continues. The hero wants to finish the analysis without summoning the Blue Lotus, but the situation grows increasingly dangerous. At last, the analysis completes, granting the Shikigami Eater skill, which allows control over the creature. His stats increase by 20 points, but the healing fails due to incomplete copy activation. He quickly understands that skipping the Blue Lotus caused the healing effect to vanish, but it no longer matters since recovery is already complete. Death charges once more, and the protagonist realizes his new skill allows him to steal Shikigami from others. He prepares to use it and takes full control. His eyes glow red as he places a hand on the wolf's head, declaring that the beast now belongs to him. A blue light envelopes Death as it begins to transform. Using the moment of distraction, the hero delivers a powerful kick to the wolf, sending it flying. Charles erupts in rage, screaming at the wolf and calling it useless despite all the effort spent training it. He grabs Choha even tighter and threatens to end her life if the resistance continues. With her remaining strength, Choha tells the protagonist not to worry. In response, the young man raises his hands in surrender and demands that she not be harmed. Charles smiles smugly and claims that obedience from the start would have spared her suffering. The protagonist then questions why this attack happened at all, as no conflict was ever initiated. The man introduces himself as Charles and reveals that Reiji Kinoshita sent him to capture the boy. Hearing that name, the protagonist realizes a meeting with Reiji is unavoidable and he is kind of looking forward to it. Charles assures Itsuki that he will meet his boss in a battered state. He orders his wolf to bite off Itsuki's legs and threatens to harm Choha if Itsuki uses his defensive skills. As he gives the wolf the order, Itsuki gives a command of his own, telling the creature to prove its worth as a Shikigami. Death suddenly turns on its former master, biting him as a lotus symbol glows on its forehead. In that instant, the protagonist rescues Choha and holds her safely in his arms. Charles screams in agony, unable to understand why his own familiar betrayed him. The hero approaches his wolf and praises it as a good boy, vowing to make Charles suffer 100-fold for what he did. Panicking, the man offers to lure Reiji in exchange for his life. With glowing red eyes, the protagonist calmly agrees, wearing a dark expression. Seeing an opening, Charles launches a counterattack, forming a massive ice spike and hurling it forward with a shout. The hero calmly responds, unfazed, and declares that Reiji will be dealt with personally. He orders his wolf to make Charles feel the same pain Choha endured. Terrified, Charles begs for mercy, but the wolf charges without hesitation. Despite desperate pleas and reminders of past loyalty, Death devours its former master without mercy. Afterward, The protagonist senses another presence watching since leaving the stage. He challenges the observer to reveal themselves. In the vast wheat field, with the stage in the distance, a hooded figure emerges and admits being discovered. Suspicion follows as the hero questions any connection to the man in the hat. The blonde young man immediately denies being an enemy and begs to be heard. Ignoring him, the protagonist turns away and tells his wolf to follow once it finishes eating. The hooded man is surprised to see that our boy has a wolf under his command, making him realize that Itsuki might actually be useful. With that in mind, he introduces himself as Iberia. The protagonist responds with his name, and Iberia is surprised to learn that he has already heard of Itsuki, thanks to his fight with Takaru. He then asks for help, offering karma stones or weapons as payment, but is confused by the lack of reaction. He recalls his father's lesson. Rewards must match a person's needs, like water in a desert. For instance, someone seeking revenge, offer a blade, and for someone injured, offer medicine. With a smile, Iberia claims to understand what is needed and warns that walking slowly with an injured woman could cost her life. He reveals a glowing scroll, explaining it is a healing item capable of saving her. The hero stops and turns back, looking genuinely surprised. Iberia confirms the healing is not instant, but will ensure her survival. While tending to Choha, our boy asks how the healing works. Iberia explains that it's a rare artifact crafted from the remnants of a disaster beast. Our boy looks puzzled, having heard about artifacts or karma tools for the first time. Realizing the hero's inexperience, Iberia goes on to explain artifacts and their rarity. Normal weapons are completely useless against beasts, making them no better than glorified water pistols. That's why artisans craft special anti-beast items using materials taken from monuments and the body parts of disaster beasts. Artifacts are divided into common, rare, epic, and unique ranks. Common artifacts are basic weapons capable of harming monsters. Rare artifacts, such as the Ocean Sword, can partially boost the user's stats. Epic artifacts not only enhance stats, but also grant special effects. Unique artifacts are the pinnacle, existing on an entirely different level. For example, the Holy Sword is capable of changing the battlefield entirely. He explains that artisans are not powerful fighters. They are few in the world, yet respected by all awakeners because of their ability to craft weapons and tools. When our boy asks whether Iberia's father is an artisan, Iberia reveals that his father is not just any artisan. He is among the top 10 and has created 3 unique artifacts in the world, earning the title Artisan King of the North. Despite this grand revelation, the hero shows no interest and instead picks up the crossbow Charles dropped. Iberia moves in to inspect it, thinking that any normal awakener would already be buttering him up after hearing that his father is a master artisan. Regardless, Iberia explains that the crossbow is a rare artifact capable of generating its own ammunition. When it suddenly vanishes, he clarifies that soul-bound artifacts can be stored and summoned again whenever needed. The protagonist thanks him for healing Choha and states that his next objective is to find Reiji Kinoshita. Upon hearing the name, Iberia admits that the target is dangerous, but reveals that they are after the same person, leaving our boy intrigued. That's when Iberia explains that the northern venue is located in District 4, essentially the Kinoshita family's turf. As the chief's son, Reiji is aiming to compete in the tournament, and with his older brother already being a savior, failing to qualify would stain their family's name. Iberia reveals that this is why Reiji has been monopolizing stages, leveling up as quickly as possible to secure a spot in the main event. When our boy questions the basis of their partnership, Iberia admits it's a gut feeling, but one he trusts completely. He's certain he'll pass the preliminaries if he sticks with the protagonist. Itsuki senses the urgency in his tone. Iberia is still young and could try again another year. Caught off guard by the question, the blonde man finally explains himself. Since childhood, he has watched his father craft artifacts and admired him deeply. Each finished piece was a work of art, and his respect for his old man kept growing. Because of that, he always dreamed of becoming an awakened who could stand against disaster beasts. When he finally awakened and asked for an artifact, his father told him it was still too early. After endless begging, the old man relented, but only on one condition. He had to pass the tournament preliminaries. With a determined look, the young man declared that he would clear the preliminaries no matter what. Our protagonist couldn't help but wonder why he hadn't teamed up with a high-level player, especially when his father was so famous. The blonde explained that his old man had warned him to succeed on his own merit and never rely on the family name. He also revealed that most of the strongest fighters had already been bought by Reiji Kinoshita, making it impossible to find a proper teammate. However, after hearing rumors about someone who had beaten Takaru and broken a record, he investigated and eventually tracked that person down. Itsuki agreed to form a partnership, but said he needed to take Choha to the hospital first. The blonde immediately stopped him and even began suggesting names for their duo, making Itsuki think the guy talked even more than his school buddy. As his thoughts drifted to his friends, he wondered whether Rikuru and Saya would also join the preliminaries. Far away, Rikuru was training intensely in preparation for the tournament. Saya asked if he had caught a cold, and he replied that maybe Itsuki was talking about him. Saya wondered how long it had been since the attack and worried about whether their hero was okay, since they hadn't seen him at all. Rikuru called her strange and asked why she hadn't visited him if she was that worried, causing her to blush. Embarrassed and annoyed, she suddenly lashed out and launched a water attack at him. Startled, he complained about the cheap shot, but she blamed him for leaving an opening during training. At that moment, a muscular man appeared and told them to stop fooling around. The preliminaries were about to begin. Both apologized to their teacher, and their skills are revealed. Saya is a water-type awakener at level 11, with a total stat of 555, while Rikuru is a metal-type awakener at level 10, with a total stat of 493. Meanwhile, Reiji Kinoshita examined 3 karma stones inside a silver briefcase. He frowned, wondering why his henchman was late. His aide assumed something unexpected must have happened. Irritated, the rich kid crushed one of the stones, calling it useless junk as experience points flowed into his body. When the subordinate asked what to do with our boy, Reiji tells him to forget about that guy and focus on the preliminaries, warning that failure would land him in solitary punishment from his father. Speaking about the preliminaries, Reiji asked about the situation. His aide understood immediately and revealed that out of the 3,000 participants, they managed to persuade only 87, and none of them were below level 5. Pleased, the rich kid praises him, saying he was the only reliable one by his side for now. Using the final karma stone, he finally leveled up. Lightning surged across his body as his new level 12 stats were revealed. In the next scene, our boy is seen waiting for someone. He apologizes to his master about Choha's condition. Izumi suggests eliminating the rich kid once and for all, but Itsuki stops him, stating that he will handle it himself. After some consideration, the commander agrees and asks him to explain why it happened. In the hospital room, Iberia is shocked to learn that the commander is our boy's master, which explains why he was not fazed by his background, and he immediately thinks about getting an autograph. Itsuki finishes his report, also revealing that this is the reason he is paired with Iberia to attend the preliminaries. After hearing the report, Izumi asks about his daughter's condition. Choha explains and confirms that she is fine thanks to her jade butterfly and the blonde's rare artifact. Izumi recognized the item at once and deduced that Iberia was the son of the famous artisan Aiden. Startled that the commander knew his father, the blonde tries to act dignified and make a good impression as the eldest son. With a smug smile and trembling confidence, he mixed up his words and claimed that he was Aiden's father rather than his son. Everyone froze in silence until our boy calmly corrected him, pointing out that it was the other way around. Completely embarrassed, the blonde quickly admitted that Aiden was indeed his father. Izumi thanks him for saving his daughter and says he will visit Aiden together with our protagonist after the tournament. He then tells the two of them to leave and prepare for the tournament, informing them that he and Choha will be watching the next day. Full of confidence, the new duo promises to pass the preliminaries. Once father and daughter are left alone, Choha speaks first. She mentions that her father really likes Itsuki and that whenever he leaves for meetings, he always leaves Jean to watch over her. Izumi then reveals that, due to childhood trauma, our hero possesses a strong self-destructive impulse. However, that impulse weakens significantly whenever there is someone nearby he wants to protect. For that reason, he admits that he placed his daughter beside the young man, so she could become his friend and the person he would most want to protect. Soon after, the commander revealed that the attack on the school had not been an accident, but a planned event. He explained that the number of traitors working alongside the beast was increasing and that humanity's future looked bleak. Even so, with unwavering confidence, he stated that our protagonist would surely brighten that future and become a great beacon of hope for all mankind. The scene shifted to the tournament preliminaries in Northern District 4. Our hero and Iberia appear and notice that the number of participants has increased from 3,000 to 5,000. Hearing this, Reiji grew irritated, complaining that the old man had increased the variables again. Saya and Rikura noticed that Reiji Kinoshida's allies were wearing red ribbons to identify themselves. The host of the tournament appears, his name being Shinshihara Soryu, and he explains the rules. The arena is divided into two zones, the inner and outer areas, with everyone starting from different points. The first phase is a race toward the inner area, and once someone arrives, their rank is recorded. Only the top 50 advance. Rikura noticed the function of the bracelet, while Saya commented on how brutal it was to eliminate thousands in a single round. Each participant was allowed to carry 2 tools, which immediately drew Iberia's attention to Itsuki. Iberia spots Reiji Kinoshida with his henchmen, who orders his men to block anyone running ahead of him. Iberia recognizes the fighters as those Reiji had bought and already plans a surprise attack once they lower their guard. However, to his surprise, Itsuki ignores him and calmly walks straight toward them. The henchmen notice that he is not wearing a red ribbon, leaving Iberia completely stunned by his partner's reckless behavior. The signal sounds, and the first phase of the tournament begins as participants surge forward. Soryu remarks that it is good to see so many young people eager to join the alliance, but someone interjects, saying that numbers without quality mean nothing. He is Hiten Akira. He adds that in their time, there had been few participants above level 15. The Soryu recalls that in his year, there were only 2 such competitors, one of them being Taiwajin. Akira comments that the tournament has grown boring without a rookie like Taiwajin and hopes there might be a genius hidden among the crowd. The announcer scoffs, saying that such geniuses only appear once every 100 years. Akira, however, mentions hearing rumors about a certain student. Commander Izumi, who has been listening in, confirms that the rumor is true. Excited, Akira asks if that student is present, while Soryu becomes convinced that the student must possess extraordinary talent if they are recognized by the commander. Curious and intrigued, Soryu immediately begins checking the participant data. He notices our boy classmate Riku, but dismisses him due to his grade 2 gift. He passes over Sayo as well, judging her to be merely a support type. Then he spots a girl named Hannah with a level of 16, an absurd number for a rookie. Soryu believes he has found the genius, but the commander remains silent in response. That is when Akira asks if there are any level 0 participants. Soryu comments that there is always one participating out of curiosity each year, though it is not worth noting because they always fail miserably. Back in the arena, Reiji Kinoshida and his henchmen laugh at our protagonist because of his low level, mocking him and calling him a lost kid. Unfazed, Itsuki activated one of his artifacts and stared at the rich kid with glowing eyes. Reiji is startled because he recognizes the artifact belonging to Charles, and his attitude shifts as he demands to know who he is. Itsuki looks at him coldly and reveals that he is the one the rich kid has been searching for. Reiji cannot believe that a level 0 has defeated Takaru and assumes someone sent our boy as a provocation. Enraged, he orders his henchmen to seize him, vowing to make him regret it. Lightning wraps around Reiji's body, as he thinks to himself that he has no time to waste on small fry. The henchman surrounds the pair. Akira watches from above, thinking that our boy is outclassed and outmatched. He believes that fighting is out of the question and that the only way to survive is to beg for his life. Iberia mentally notes that he could take down one opponent, but even if our boy is strong, facing four at the same time is impossible. He prepares to activate an artifact, but Itsuki stops him. One henchman scoffed, ridiculing the idea that their first opponent was a level 0 trash nobody. Itsuki stepped forward and coldly tells the man to get out of his way. Shocked by the audacity, the henchman froze for a moment before bursting into laughter, joined by the others. Akira found his attitude amusing and decided he might step in if things went too far. With a sinister grin, the henchman standing in front declared that he would crack the young man's head open to see what was inside. But our boy punches the fool so hard that his face almost changes shape. He glares at the rest of the group and tells them to move, giving them one last chance. Meanwhile, Akira wears the expression of someone whose brain has frozen, needing a moment to process what just happened.